Hey everyone, this is Stacy again, and I want to now go over the very last of the structural sets for our three projects, and this is the middle one, and this is the second one, the second largest. And so they pretty much have, in this case, we have some columns now that we have to install, vertical members, and we have pad footings that the columns sit on, and pretty much what they are 2.5 by 2.5 by 1 foot and 4 inches deep. This is the reinforcement, and so any good cost book's going to give you the cost per pad for that size or approximately that size, and then you'll adjust the cost book price based on what it says and what it gives you and what your specifications ask for. And so you may have to run, the specs may say four number fours. Okay, well, you might take the cost book price and then add an additional run of a number four. So just know any cost book you use, and I was asked which one we use Craftsman cost book. There are a ton of them out there, and they all do the same thing. So the main thing is to use the one that you're most comfortable with and know that it's not the Bible, but it gives you a good reference for which to build your material list and to get a pretty decent cost. And what I like it for the best is for our man hour totals, because we go by what the construction industry says, and what it says is what we do. And so that's why all of our estimates are always very tight, bare bone, and our clients usually do really well. The only thing they have to do, I mean, they can verify the material cost on their own, but what we like is that we can verify that these labor rates are within industry standard. It's not something that, my uncle did it for 40 years, and so he knows how how long it takes to install a column pad. Like, okay, well, and you have to imagine there are not very many women in this industry doing this, so I always have to hear that a lot. But, hey, I just go by the books, and we do very well. I would recommend going by the books, okay? And so that's the final estimate for this middle one. We ended up at, well, that right there. For the paint booth, the paint booth, I believe, is like an 8-inch concrete with the reinforcement. So it's pretty thick up there. So that was the structural for that one. Okay, let's go back to. So here are all the structural components, and remember, here's another W beam 8 by 18. How we or by 11 3/8, and then the bottom plate. No, bottom plates. What we need for here. That is just the third dimension of the lintel. And then how do we measure? Based on how many pounds, right? So we know how many linear feet we have, and then times it by 18. That's how many pounds, and then that's how you price it, is by the pound. And bearing plates. And so let's look at the foundation. This first thing. And so we had, remember, this is a renovation, so we had to cut the slab and then build that out. And then our new paint booth, so also that's the 8 foot, 8 thick concrete, and then the 5-inch thickness, and then all of the column pads. And C1 are the columns, and then the column pads, and all the section views that go with them, and all that good stuff. And so what we do, we mark it out, get how many, the area for the new concrete, the area for the new paint booth, and then how many linear feet. It's just like all the other ones. This one is from the first project. Instead of doing two, now we're only doing one for this one. And we have some trench drains. So let's look at really quickly A over S201. That's the trench drain section view. 201. The other 201. All right, so A. So what do we have to do here? Start from, well, the length of it, expansion joints. Gotta add that. The trench drain itself, which is in the plumbing set, we'd add that in the plumbing plan. And then basically the rebar. Okay, so same way you put it at the 16s, right? How many linear feet? I think it's 22 linear feet. So you can say this plus that plus whatever, add all that together. So that's what you're going to place every 16 inches, right? So that's, we do that. And then the column reinforcements, how they sit in the column pads. Okay. And then we had to, in a portion of this foundation, drill some holes and all of that through our slab. See, let's go back to the, let's see where that came from. See, yeah, right here. Okay, so yeah, we had to drill holes every however many feet in both directions. So let's go back to that. See over 201. That's 201C. Yeah. So drill 2-inch in diameter holes at the 4 feet each way. So each way, same. So with this it was kind of crazy. So, you know, just go through every 4 feet each way. We just visually went through it. And then how long is that? It's about an inch. We can scale it out, and then we know how many linear feet of hole we have to drill, because, and I think it came up to like 2 feet altogether for, you know, in total. Because you got to know how many. Then we had to do the compaction, and then the slab number 4s. And here's one we're talking about where it tells you how long it is. So it's a number 4 rebar, but it's going to be 2 feet 4 inches every 24 inches. So again, you know how many linear feet of that you have. Change it into inches, divide by 24, and whatever that number is their number of placements. And then, so that's your multiplier. And then you say that number times 2 feet 4 inches is how many linear feet of number 4 rebar you need. Okay, because a good estimator, you got to be able to do your material quantities, and that's all this is. Material quantities easier to put together than the cost estimate. You got to do all the extra stuff with the cost estimate. Material quantities, you can just boop, 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 knock it out. Okay, so same here. We had a new awning, and so just look very closely. Good set of plans, and then your imagination, right? 1/2 by the square plate, so we need 2 square plates, right? And then for these we figure 4 different locations. Go back and check that. It's like we do so many of the same one. I'm like, oh, did I do that one right? I was like, I'm thinking about the other one. So yeah, material quantity. So 4 locations, because you're going to have this on both sides of the awning. And each of the locations going to have 4 screws. So you're going to have 16 of those. And I think this is an existing wall. Yeah, it's existing. So you got to include the cost to drill those holes for that to fit in. Okay, so all those kinds of things. All right, and I think that's going to be it. Oh, this is our, let's go back to, because it was very interesting. That's our foundation, but here is our roof framing. We didn't go over that. So what's happening with our renovation for the roof is these are exterior elevation views looking this way. But basically, these are all the lintels, which is, again, the metal header. Instead of wood headers, the lintels are metal. Some bracing had to be taken out. Like the other video, we had to do what it said there, took care of that. But this is overhead overhead doors being installed, so they needed the metal header basically to hold the framing for the overhead window installation. And then some other stuff going on here. So let's go to 1A 301. It's right here. Right here. Okay, so they only show us one time, but it's all of the four that we saw. So again, this is a C-beam, C8 by 1875. What's that mean? It holds 18.75 linear pounds of weight per linear feet. So we know how many linear feet times the weight. We can figure out how many linear feet and figure out the price, because we price again those by the pound. All right, so that is the middle project that came up to at $115,000 for the structural components, structural set. And shoot, that's it. So we have videos for all three. And remember, we're going to go over, once we review all the videos, there's going to be a lot still coming up for each of the scopes of work for each of the three projects. Then we're going to add everything up based on the square foot of the project, the different prices, and then we can go forward and start to create for each of the trades, see, which is going to be the fun part, creating a work schedule, a work breakdown schedule for each trade. And what you have to start to think about, especially if you, especially if you're an estimator and you don't actually do the work, but you know how it's done. That's what a good estimator is. You don't do the work, but you know how it's done, and you can visualize it being done. And so the work breakdown schedule, you'll be able to see, okay, what would the framer do first? You lay out the bottom plates or whatever. You have to determine what comes first, second, third, in order to create the proper work breakdown schedule for each trade. So now you can create your budget for each day, whatever. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So if you have any questions, please email me at education@sfjohnsonconsulting.com. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And